Hey everyone, this is Rob with Codecademy. I'm a software developer based out of Seattle, Washington. In this video, we're going to walk through the C++ project, Object of Your Affection. So far, we have learned the basics of objects and classes in C++. To complete this project, you'll need to be familiar with how to work with data attributes and functions inside of a class, how to designate class functions as private or public, and how to create new objects through instantiation. Alright, let's get started. This project is called the Object of Your Affection. We're building a new matchmaking service. And don't worry about the name, it's subject to change. With our new understanding of C++ objects and classes, your friend thought you could build a pretty well-organized system of dating profiles. So our first step is going to be to create a profile class that allows users to generate profiles. And it needs to be able to store the following: a name, age, city, country, pronouns, and hobbies. As far as functionality for the project, we want a user to be able to create a new profile with some information, add hobbies, and also be able to view the profile. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. We'll go ahead and begin with our profile.hpp file, our header file, and let's begin with setting up our skeleton of the profile class. So we just do that with the class keyword, and then we name it profile, and then after opening and closing curly braces, we need to be sure to end this with a semicolon. Perfect. Our skeleton is complete. Let's go ahead and move on to step 2. For step 2, we want to add the following member attributes to our profile. We want a type of string for name, a type of int for age, another string for city, another string for country, and we want a type of string for pronouns. And then finally, we want a vector. And this is going to be of type string. And this will be our hobbies. Awesome. Now, because we used a vector, we want to be sure to include this at the top of our file. We'll do that with the hash symbol, include vector. Great, let's mark step 2 as complete, and we'll move on to step 3. We'll go to our app.cpp file, and we want to go ahead and include our header file. So say include profile.hpp. Okay, awesome. Now we want to instantiate a new profile object called Sam. So we'll do that by saying profile, Sam, and we want to try to give Sam a name. So we'll say sam.name, and we'll set equal to Sam Dracula. Alright, let's go ahead and save our code. And let's go ahead and try to compile it and execute it. So G++, we'll name our app.cpp file, and then also our profile.cpp. Alright, we're getting an error message, but that's what we expected. Let's mark step 3 as complete and go ahead and take a look at this error message. This has something to do with profile name being private, as we can see right here in the error message. And if we took some time to think about it, we'd probably realize that all attributes in a class, including name, are automatically set to private. And what we need is a way for users to get some basic profile information. So inside of our profile class, let's go ahead and add private above the attributes we've created. And let's go ahead and add public below those attributes. Now we can mark step 4 as complete, and we'll go ahead and move on to step 5. Under public and profile, we can declare a constructor for profile that allows you to set, the name, age, city, and country, and pronouns. So we'll do that by declaring a constructor. We'll just say profile, and then of type string, new name, and then int for new age. And as you can see, I'm just taking all of these names we have above and simply putting new underscore and then the item. So after age, we have city. All right. Now, those are a lot of characters, so there's lots of room for little syntax errors, so be sure to double check your work to make sure that hitting the wrong key doesn't break your whole program. But if it does, you will get an error message that will help you track down what you need to change. However, for some reason, if you really do get stuck with the syntax and you find yourself making little keystroke errors, you can check the hint to find the correct code to make sure that this doesn't slow you down. Okay, so our next step, we're still in step 5. So now that we've declared a constructor for profile, we want to go to our profile.cpp file and define the constructor. So let's head over there. So let's begin defining our constructor. Profile, as we learned in our interactive lessons. So while we define our constructor in the profile.cpp file, we're going to assign the attributes the values passed in. For now, we're going to skip giving pronouns a default value in the definition. We'll name each parameter something different than its corresponding attribute. So for example, population equals new population will work. However, population equals population will not work. So we can go ahead and take a look at the hint below for what we should have in our profile.cpp file. So we'll go ahead and code this out. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to step 6. It's time to test out our code. Let's make sure that we include IOStream, and then we also want to include profile.hpp. Because without these include statements, our profile.cpp file doesn't know that the profile class exists, or for example, what std string is. So let's go back to our app.cpp file, and let's remove the code that was previously there, and let's go ahead and instantiate an object. So we'll say profile, Sam, and we'll pass in a name of Sam Dracula, an age of 30, a city of New York, and pronouns of he, him. Okay, let's go ahead and save our code. And we'll go ahead and compile it and execute it. And our error has been removed. Great. Now on to step 7. We've removed our error, but we want to make sure that we can access profile information once it's been added. So it's time to add a function. We're going to add a viewProfile method. So in our profile.hpp file, we're going to add a public method. It's going to return a type of string. So we'll say std string. Then we'll name our method viewProfile. And it doesn't need any parameters. So now let's go to this CPP file. Since we've already declared it, now let's go ahead and define it. So we'll say std string profile viewProfile. Again, it doesn't take any parameters. And this method should return a string that includes the profile information. So we could do this a few different ways. I'll go ahead and walk through a possible implementation. We can do a type of string and name a variable bio and set it equal to name plus our name, which is what the user passes in. And now bio will set equal to its current definition, but we'll also add a line break, age as a text. I'll go ahead and do a space, and then I'm going to go ahead and add the age that's been provided. And we can do that with std, and we're going to have to do a toString because we have a number passed in such as 30 with that age variable, and we want to convert this to a string. So now we want to take what our value for bio is, and we want to add to it. We'll do a line break, and we'll say pronouns, and a space, and then we'll simply add pronouns. And then finally, we just want to return bio. Okay, let's mark step 7 is complete. I went ahead and cleared out the console. And for step 8, we're just going to test our new method. Alright, so now we want to print to the terminal. So I'll say std cout, and then on the SAM object, we're going to call the view profile function or method. Let's go ahead and save our code, and we'll compile our code. And now finally, let's go ahead and execute our code. Alright, perfect. Just what we would expect. Now let's go ahead and mark step 8 as complete, and we'll move on to step 9. We want to give the ability for users to add hobbies. So we're going to go back to our profile.hpp file, and we want to declare a public method. Since there's going to be no return value, and we're just printing to the terminal, this will be void, and we're going to call our method add hobby, and we're going to pass in one parameter. It's going to be of type string, and we'll name it new hobby. Now that we've declared our public method, let's go ahead and define it in our profile.cpp file. So void profile add hobby, and we'll pass in our string parameter of new hobby. And finally, we just want to take our hobbies vector, and we want to push onto the end of that vector our new hobby that's been provided. Alright, we can mark step 9 as complete, and let's move on to step 10. Now we want to go back and do a little bit more work in our view profile to account for these hobbies being displayed. And we can go ahead and use a loop to do this. Remember, loops are great for doing something with values that are in vectors. So the first thing we want to do is declare a new variable of type string, hobby string. And we're going to set this equal to a string of hobbies, colon, and then a new line. And now what we want to do is we want to loop through our hobbies vector. So we'll loop through hobbies to get access to each element. So we'll say for, and then type of string, hobby of hobbies. And so what this means is that each item in our hobbies vector we can access with the word hobby. And so for each item in that vector, we're going to set hobby string that we defined above to hobbies with a line break. We're going to now set that equal to what its value is in addition to a dash plus that hobby plus a line break. And then finally, we want to return our bio plus a new line plus hobby string. This is a string created by looping through our hobbies vector. Alright, let's mark step 10 as complete, and we'll save our code. And I'm going to go ahead and clear out the console. And for step 11, we want to go ahead and test out all of our work. So before line 8 on my screen, where we print out to the terminal all the information about Sam, we're going to add some hobbies. And so we're going to add 4 of them, sam.add hobby. And I'm going to go ahead and copy this and paste it a few times. And I'll go ahead and pass in each of these hobbies. Then we'll go ahead and save our code. And let's go ahead and compile it. And let's go ahead and execute it. Awesome. We can see that we're now printing to the screen the new hobbies that we added for Sam. Alright, let's mark step 11 as complete. Alright, great job with this project. Your friend is super impressed with the profile class that you've created. Now that you've gotten to start with creating classes and instantiating objects from them, also working with public and private items on their class, Try adding more data attributes and functions inside of a class. What more information could you add to someone's profile? What more functionality could you provide? Really take some time to try to add a feature or two to try to reinforce your learning. Alright, great job. This is Rob with Codecademy. Happy coding.